Hey guys, so I've been using AirPods since 2016 when the first generation came out, and I've been using the Pros now since they were released, so a few months, and here are a couple of thoughts on why I don't think they're as good as the previous generation.
We're telling secrets in the dark while drinking whiskey neat. How we fall.
Now let me explain. This won't be the first review you've watched, so you'll know that there's a few changes to the AirPod Pros compared to the previous generation, which would be the main things really are noise cancelling and the new design. So let's start with noise cancelling. Obviously the big headline feature really. This feature is something that I've personally wanted on my AirPods since I picked up the Sony WH-1000 M3s. Awful name, but headphones are really good. Noise cancelling especially is great. I picked them up in Dubai and the flight back was just a joy because I didn't hear a thing from anyone else. So with noise cancelling, obviously they're great for drowning out the outside world with the press of a button, and with modes like transparency mode on the AirPods and like on the Sonys as well, you can bring in noises. So when you've got transparency mode turned on, when you're at work, people can still call you, they can still shout your name. If you're walking the dog, you can still hear cyclists behind you. It's sort of in between of wearing headphones and still having good noise, but also just hearing your surroundings, which you could sort of do with the previous AirPods, but that was just because they didn't really fit in your ear and create a seal like normal headphones would. They do sometimes pick up on noises that you don't want. So while I was at work and I was wearing them, I'd be scrolling on my mouse, and this was the first couple of days that I had them, so I was trying to listen and hear what they would pick up and things. So I was paying quite close attention to them, and that isn't something you want to hear all the time. After a while you do start to drown it out, but I did notice it when I was trying to listen to what they drowned out and what they actually brought in with transparency mode. But obviously you don't buy these headphones for transparency mode, you buy them for the noise cancelling. It's good that they've got that feature as well, but the real magic is when you turn on the noise cancelling. Suddenly the music sounds clearer, you can lose yourself in the song a little bit more because you are detached a little bit more from the outside world. I think the perfect scenario for these is when you're on public transport, so trains, buses and things like that, where you don't really want to hear everyone else. One thing I did mention obviously with the Sonys, I use them on planes. I don't think they would be, the noise cancelling is good, but they're not good enough to drown out all the plane noise. I think it's too enclosed, it's too close confined to drown out all that noise. I think it would do a great job still, but just not as good. I don't think they'd replace things like the Bose or the Sony noise cancelling headphones. But if you can only get one, the AirPods are probably a lot more convenient and more usable on a daily basis. One thing I did notice as well when I had noise cancelling turned on was that I seemed to lower the volume of my music a little bit more compared to when I had the other ones. They didn't, obviously the older ones don't create a seal in your ears like these, so putting these in instantly sort of helps, and then putting noise cancelling on as well, you're not trying to drown out anything else, you're just listening to the music purely. So far you're thinking, well, everything you're saying is great, so what aren't Pro, or what is a downgrade from the previous generation? So it brings me on to the new design. A well-wanted feature by me and other people were just a normal in-ear tip, which so many people wanted because the other ones wouldn't fit in their ears properly. One, it creates a lot better seal, so you instantly get a little bit better sounding music because you don't have the bleed of the music going out of your ear. They also stay in people's ears a lot more. I used the old design, as I say, since they came out in 2016, and I used them at a desk. I would walk around in them, but as soon as I ran, they'd fall out my ears. If I moved my head a lot, they'd fall out. Even when I was walking, they would start to wiggle themselves free, and I'd find myself forcing them further in my ears as they were slowly moving out while I was walking. So Another tick there really. A wanted feature by a lot of people, and they've added it. So good work. The stems also shorter. So obviously before you had the memes of toothbrushes sticking out of people's ears and things. I never really thought it was that bad. You now see so many people wearing them, so I think everyone's used to them now. It's more normal than we saw before. But obviously shortening the stem is something I think is needed. It's obviously just improvements as years go on really. They can shrink things down, they can put bigger batteries in, so they can get the same amount of battery life, which is 5 hours without noise cancelling and 4.5 with noise cancelling turned on. So instead of tapping now to play and pause, or you could skip tracks and stuff before, but that was pretty much it. You just had double tap. You couldn't play and pause and then skip a track on the same earpod, and things like that. So now you squeeze, which for the first few weeks I found weird, but now it's just so much better, and it's another reason that I now don't have to talk to Siri other than really volume or choosing a song. So the next part that's got to change is the case, and that's where things really start to fall down for me. So the case is a bit bigger, not by much. It would still fit in your pocket easily, and because it's all rounded, it just slips in there, unlike other cases that I've tried for earphones. However, the size really isn't what the issue is. It sort of opens on the side now compared to the old one, which would sort of be at the top, which I find makes them so much harder to open. The other ones I could hold in one hand, sort of open them up and slide the AirPod out almost with one hand, completely not used. Whereas now I feel like I'm almost going to drop them if I'm doing that with these. So I always have to have two hands free to do it. I can't do them as seamlessly as I did with the previous one. Oh, so those great rubber tips that I was mentioning earlier that fit in more people's ears, that were a great plus. Because of the rubber tips, they actually create friction when you're putting them back in the case. So a few times they've sort of caught and I haven't been able to close the case. So now I find myself checking every single time that I'm sort of putting them in and making sure they're properly seated and charging. Whereas the old ones just satisfyingly clicked in with magnets and closed, and it was just not even a thought. Whereas now I feel like I have to do that extra step just to make sure that I've covered all the steps and they are charging and they are properly seated. Fingers crossed I've never had them not charge. I think it's more that the case wouldn't close properly if they're not seated. One thing I do like about the new case is that the stems now are seated to the outer part of the case, so you don't have to actually twist the AirPods to put them in the case, which you did with the previous design. However, I never really noticed this from the previous generation. I more noticed that it was changed on this generation. I was like, oh, I no longer have to do that. Whereas before it was just not even a thought. So for the £50 extra over the normal AirPods with wireless charging case, do they sound better really? That's the main point everyone really wants. For the most part I would actually say no. The normal ones sound a bit flatter. The bass is a little bit more pronounced on the new ones, but I'd say that's more because of the seal or maybe the noise cancelling. But has anyone bought AirPods thinking they're going to sound great or that these are for audiophiles? I don't think so. They're always been about convenience, not sound quality, and having the noise cancelling in such a small package and such ease of use is convenient. So they've upped the convenience game, I'd say, more. I don't think audiophiles are ever going to get rid of their DACs, etc. to get AirPods or wireless headphones. I think we're still a long way away from truly good sounding wireless headphones. You get okay sounding ones, but I think the convenience for me is where AirPods have always shined. So, do I recommend getting the Pros? Well, they're going to stay in my pocket for a start. I think the noise cancelling is a great feature, and well needed, to be honest. The improved controls as well are something that I like, just because I can now skip songs without having to touch my phone. I can have my phone away, and I can play pause a bit easier than tapping and sort of waiting. Before I was doing sort of triple taps to get them to recognise that I was tapping. But if you're not really bothered about noise cancelling, or the small little changes to the design, I'd recommend getting the normal ones. And better yet, if you don't care about wireless charging, which I think if you don't care about noise cancelling, you're most likely not going to, I'd save yourself a bit extra and go for the 159 ones. They're a great price, they're very convenient still, and I think a lot of people that haven't had AirPods would be very happy with these headphones. But if you like noise cancelling, these will not disappoint in that area. A little bit less convenient, but I'd still buy them. As I say, they're going to be in my pocket. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. That's been my review of the AirPods Pro and what I dislike and like about them. As I say, I'll be keeping these in my pocket, so feel free to shoot me over any questions that I may not have answered in this review. And please subscribe for my next video, which will be on the CarPlay to Air wireless CarPlay adapter for OEM systems. Thank you.